That's for you, Marcus. But you can go first, okay? Show us the way. Here to go. Okay. Nah, it's a bit cloudy, yeah?
Yeah, but the sun is right there. Oh, I feel no cold now.
Yeah, it's not bad. Hello. Such a big boat, yeah? Marcus.
You go there. Go, 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 go.
Come next to me.
Fine, I'm gonna sit next to you.
Please remain seated.
Marcus, we're leaving.
And if you leave your seat, watch your step and hold on to the handrail. We have life rafts and life jackets on board for every passenger, including children's sizes. Emergency exits are clearly marked with international symbols. Please locate your nearest exit. In the unlikely event that we need to evacuate the vessel, remain calm and follow the instructions given by the crew. Thank you for your attention.
The giant observation wheel on the south bank, called the London Eye, can be a spectacular place to celebrate
Cheers.
New Year's Eve. People line up all along the Thames to watch the sky and the river explode with fireworks. The views from the London Eye are amazing in broad daylight too. One pop into County Hall, the building with the curved facade and green tower. Inside, the Sea Alive London Aquarium, where you can feed a stingray, walk underneath a tropical ocean, or have a laugh with a clownfish. County Hall is also home to the London Dungeon.
London Dungeon, Marcus, remember?
There, you can relive some hideous moments in London's history, including its famous scenes like Sweeney Todd and Jack the Ripper.
We're approaching our next stop at Waterloo Pier. Please remain seated until the boat stops moving. If Waterloo Pier is your destination, be sure to take all your belongings and return your audio guide and thank you for choosing City Cruise.
It's good now.
Ladies and gentlemen, back in the year 2000, it's carried approximately 90 million passengers. And we estimate each time it goes round once, it earns Merlin, the eye's owner, around £10,500. One complete sail. That works out to around £250,000 in one day. On a very good day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of money. In fact, it's making so much money. Last year they was actually thinking of changing its name from the London Eye to the Wheel of Fortune. But it didn't materialise for some reason. I don't know. These sightseeing wheels are very popular all over the world now. They seem to have gone up everywhere. They've built one in Dubai, which apparently is almost twice the size of that one, around 800 foot. Now the first bridge that we passed beneath on the journey today, folks, the Charing Cross Railway Bridge. By the side of the railway bridge, there are footbridges, and these were opened up for the Queen's Golden Jubilee in 2002. If there's anyone up there walking across, give them a little wave as we pass. Wave to the people up on the bridge. It
Hi,
keeps them
Marcus.
happy. More importantly, it keeps their hands busy, stops them throwing things at us, which they often like to do for some reason. I don't know why. We're not safe yet. There's another bridge coming down. Okay, so keep waiting. Keep smiling. We should be okay. Hello there. Hello. Nice people about today. They're all waving. And they're all smiling. This is not always the case. A lot of the kids like to spin onto the road, which is nice. To our right, behind the trees, the Royal Festival Hall. This is one of the finest concert halls in the world, and it forms part of the South Bank complex, an arts and entertainment area which stretches from where we've just left, the London Eye, all the way down to where we're heading, down to Tower Bridge. You can actually walk this whole stretch of river along the South Bank. And if you're looking for something to do this evening, if it stays dry at least, very nice walking along the South Bank. As you walk along, you'll pass a few attractions, lots of bars, lots of restaurants, and nice riverside pubs as well. And it probably takes around about an hour, give or take, to get from one end to the other. On the left, along the river wall, the stone obelisk is Cleopatra's Needle, over 3,500 years old. Presented to the British government by a very thankful Egyptian government to commemorate our defeat of the French at the Battle of the River Nile. There is a twin to that column, folks, and it stands in Central Park, New York. This is Waterloo Bridge without going to pass beneath. This is known as the Ladies' Bridge. It was built by ladies during the Second World War, when a lot of men were away at war. The ladies built the longest road bridge that we have in London. It was also the only bridge built in London that was built on time and under budget. And during the war, a pretty impressive achievement. Yeah, ladies, give yourselves a round of applause.
Well done, ladies.
Obviously, there was a man in charge. To our left, behind the trees, Somerset House, the building with the green dome on top. Look to the front of the building, beneath the green dome, you can see the top of an arch. Now, years ago, the river flowed into this building, through that arch. Okay, but over the years, we've built up the river wall. Behind the wall on the left, there's a sewage system which runs along the river. And before this was built, the Thames was London sewer. Basically, toilets and waste would flush straight into the river. So a very clever man, an engineer, Joseph Bazalgette, he built this sewage system to clean up the river and to clean up the city. And as we've built up the river wall over the years, we've narrowed the river. And that now gives us
Behind the boat.
The river today flows a lot quicker. Years ago, the river was much wider. It flowed a lot slower. And on very cold winters, the Thames would freeze up. Coming up on the left, there's this white ship. It's got the yellow funnel on top. It's called the Wellington, and it once belonged to the New Zealand Navy. Today, it's a floating livery hall
I see Marcus.
for the Honourable Company
Talks about this boat.
of Master Mariners. Basically, it's a drinking club for old sea captains who like a drop of rum. And you'll often see them stumbling around on the deck there after having one too. Coming up on the right, folks, we have one of the River Thames' hidden gems. It's a tropical golden sandy beach. Who needs the Seychelles or the Bahamas when we have beaches like that on the River Thames? The Southeast Riviera is what it's known as. It's not a very hot sunny day today, but there's still some people over there, as you can see. When it's roasting hot, there'll be hundreds of people over there, sunbathing, paddling in the polluted water. The kids love it, they run around playing with rusty nails and bits of broken glass. A great family. It was here on the right a few years ago now. They filmed that very popular TV series, Baywatch. Then on the right we have this red brick building with the OXO sound. That's called Stanford Hall. And it used to be a cold storage meat warehouse. But today, like many disused warehouses we have along the river, it's been converted into riverside apartments. Right at the top of the building, folks, underneath that glass canopy, is the Harvey Nichols restaurant. This was once voted one of the top 10 restaurants here. Now, ladies and gents, look directly ahead of the boat, slightly to the left. You've got a nice shot there of the City of London. Dominating the skyline, you can see some of London's newest buildings, some of our newest skyscrapers. As you can see, there's some weird and wonderful shapes. They have some weird and wonderful names. You've got the cheese grater, the scalpel, the gherkin, and the walkie-talkie. Look way off to the left there, look, there's one of London's oldest buildings, St Paul's Cathedral. This is one of the best shots, if not the best shot, you'll get of St Paul's from the river. Directly to our left, there's a building with a green sloping roof and the black pinnacle on top. The old City of London School, where many famous dignitaries were taught. And in between the arched windows, 4 statues. From left to right, John Milton, William Shakespeare, Sir Francis Bacon, and Sir Isaac Newton. This last building on the left, the impressive semicircular building, is Unilever House. The headquarters for Unilever, the massive Anglo-Dutch manufacturer, who seem to own pretty much everything.
The end of the bridge.
We're now passing beneath the Blackfriars Road Bridge. Okay, as you clear the bridge, left and right of the boat, we have these red pillars.
Red
and
pillars.
This is all that remains of the very first railway bridge to span the Thames. The top half was removed many years ago. Unable to remove these supports for fear of disturbing the foundations of the bridges on either side. The last bridge, the Blackfriars Railway Bridge here, actually starred in a movie a few years back, one of the Mission Impossible films. Tom Cruise is filmed running across the roof of this railway bridge apparently. I haven't seen the film myself. I do remember the day they filmed it. They closed this part of the river. There were 2 helicopters.
Yeah, that's a Millennium Bridge.
Filming Tom as he ran across the roof of the railway bridge. Up to the left once again, folks, we see the dome, the cross of St Paul's Cathedral. Now this is considered as Sir Christopher Wren's masterpiece, and it took him 35 years to build. It was completed in the year 1710, so it's over 300 years old. Above the Great Dome, there is a viewing platform.
Listen, Marcus.
Okay, now the views up there are almost as good as the views from the London Eye. There's one problem, there's no lift. Okay, there's over 500 steps to get to the top there. So it is hard work getting up to the top, but it's well worth it, folks, once you're up there, because you get some great views across London. Buried in the crypt of St Paul's Cathedral, you'll find some of our national heroes. These include the Iron Duke, the Duke of Wellington, Lord Nelson, and of course the architect himself, Sir Christopher. If you're in London for a few days, folks, definitely try and visit St Paul's. It's probably the finest building anywhere in the city. A magnificent one. The bridge, we're now going to pass beneath the footbridge here, is the Millennium Pier. But you might know it better as the Wibbly Wobbly. Opened by the Queen on a Saturday morning, closed the very same afternoon by the police for being unsafe. It used to sway from side to side. People walking across the bridge were falling over. They were hanging on for dear life. They had to close the bridge, re-stabilise it. It was reopened again. It's been perfectly safe ever since. It now links St Paul's Cathedral on our left to the south bank over on the right. And on the south bank here, you've got the building with a tall chimney. That's the Tate Modern Art Gallery, an old power station. Next up on the right, circular structure with the thatch roof. Now this is a replica of William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. It's an exact replica built the same way the original theatre was built. The idea of a man called Sam Wanamaker. He was a film and theatre director. He sadly died before it was completed. But the project was taken on by his daughter, Zoe, and was opened by herself and the Queen just over 20 years ago. And they reenact Shakespeare's plays inside the room. The last time we looked, the cheapest ticket in there, folks, was around £6, which is great value for money. A bit of live entertainment in London for just £6. You can't get a pint of beer most places. Great. If you do decide to walk along the South Bank at some point today, folks, you'll pass the bridge. And you'll come to a very nice riverside pub shortly. Okay. Now, just ahead of the boat, we have Southwark Road Bridge, opened in 1921, built to relieve the congestion from the old London Bridge. As we clear the bridge, look in the corner of the next bridge on the right, you'll see a building with red window frames. Now, this is the Anchor Tavern at backside. Okay. There's been an Anchor pub here now for over 400 years. The original was frequented by Dr. Johnson, Samuel Pepys, Charles Dickens and William Shakespeare. The pub has starred in quite a few films, most notably at the end of Mission Impossible 1. Tom Cruise and Ving Rhames are sat outside this pub having a pint of beer, celebrating their successful mission. It also starred more recently in Getting to the Creek, starring Russell Brand and Joe. And ladies and gents, as we pass through the Cannon Street Railway Bridge here, if you look to the supports of the bridge, okay, you get a rough idea to how fast the tide flows. You can see it swirling around the supports here. The Thames is a very fast, very powerful flowing river, flowing up to 10 knots. At the moment, the tide is flooding into London, which it does for 5 hours. And in 5 hours today, the tide here will rise around 6.5 metres. Once clear of the bridge, coming up on the right, there's a pirate ship. A black and yellow pirate ship. Has anybody on the boat seen the film Pirates of the Caribbean? This ship on the right has got absolutely nothing to do with that film whatsoever.
Golden Hinge.
This is a replica of Sir Francis Drake's vessel, the Golden Hind, the ship in which he sailed around the world. The first Englishman to do this, it took him nearly 4 years. The replica on our right, ladies and gents, it's a full working ship. It has retraced Drake's voyage twice. It's actually now done more sea miles
what are you doing?
than the original ship. And just ahead of the boat, folks, a very famous bridge. Does anybody know what bridge it is? It is London Bridge, yes. How would you know that? No spotting, yes. It's actually written on the bridge. If you look closely, look left and right, London Bridge. We've had a London Bridge here now, folks, for 2,000 years, dating back to the Romans. The bridge that stood before this one was sinking into the mud, and it was going to be demolished until an American businessman, he bought the bridge for $2 million. Now, he had it taken down stone by stone. He numbered all the stones, over 10,000 pieces, shipped it out to America, and it was re-erected out in Arizona across Lake Havasu as a tourist attraction. This London Bridge was opened back in 1973. Take a quick look to the left, in the gap between the buildings. The stone column with the golden top is the monument to the Great Fire of London, built to resemble a candle. It said a candle started the Great Fire back in 1666. Have you got a question? training ground for apprentice window cleaners in the city of London. They come here to learn their trade before going out into the fields and the wild. It should be, but it's not. It's the headquarters for the Daily Express newspaper. It blends in really well with the yellow brick building next door, as you can see, which is the old Billingsgate fish market, a very famous fish market which stood on that site for over 5 years. And up to the right now, folks, we have the shop, the tallest building in Western Europe, standing at 1,017 feet. Twice he's had to do it now, and both times he said it wasn't. A few famous people to go through Traitors Gate and never return were Anne Boleyn, one of Henry VIII's wives, to Thomas More and Guy Fawkes. Today the tower houses the crown jewels, and folks, it should definitely be on your list of things to do whilst here in London. Visit the tower. The building is absolutely steeped in history, almost 1,000 years of French and English history sit inside the building. Very interesting. Okay, so in a minute, when the traffic clears, we're going to turn the boat side onto the bridge. Okay, a lovely shot of waves. Now, Tower Bridge is a part suspension, part bascule bridge. It was opened back in 1894. The two centre bascules, which link the road together, each weigh 1,200 tons. They can be raised in 90 seconds to allow bigger ships, like the Seven, in and out of this part of the river. If you would like to find out when Tower Bridge is going to open, very simple. One of the best times to see Tower Bridge, apart from when it's open, is of an evening time, ladies and gents. As soon as the light fades in London this evening, they light up the bridge, they illuminate the bridge, and it does look even more spectacular. Without doubt, one of London's greatest sights, Tower Bridge, of an evening time, particularly, folks, when viewed from the river. A great sight.
Daddy,
No?
when we come all the way back up, we go to that.
Oh, shaky.
Shake, I got this. Shake, shake, shake.
Looks like the same boat guy, isn't it? This is the same boat.
City Cruises welcomes you aboard. For your safety, please listen carefully to the following announcement. Please remain seated while the riverboat is moving. And if you leave your seat, watch your step and hold on to the handrail. We have life rafts and life jackets on board for every passenger, including children's sizes. Emergency exits are clearly marked with international symbols. Please take a moment to locate the nearest exit. In the unlikely event that we need to evacuate the vessel, remain calm and follow the instructions given by the crew. Thank you for your attention. As we leave Greenwich, look along the tree line at the top of the hill behind the town. Can you spot a T-shaped pole with a red ball on it? It sits on top of the Royal Observatory, a building designed by Robert Hooke and Sir Christopher Wren. That ball rises every day and drops at precisely 1300 hours, or 1 p.m. Ship's captains used to watch for the ball to drop, so they could set their nautical instruments at the correct time. That's where we get the expression, keep your eye on the ball. The tradition continues today, even though most modern ships use computerized time settings. The Royal Observatory is the home of Greenwich Mean Time, the baseline for time zones around the world. It's also the location of zero longitude. So every measurement of time and place worldwide refers back here to Greenwich.
I hear you think. You English always see yourselves as the centre of the world. Don't blame us. Blame the astronomer royal. Greenwich today feels like an old English village in the middle of a city, with quaint shops lining the winding streets. Of course, many of those shops now sell gourmet food and contemporary art. We're setting our course upriver, winding our way in a westerly direction toward the city of London. Along the way, you'll hear about the lifestyles of Londoners today, and about the amazing life of the River Thames.
So far away.
No, we're gonna go past those buildings, and we're gonna go past all those buildings, and then we're gonna be where we have to be.
Westminster. That's where we need to be.
Westminster.
See the Thames barrier. The most exhilarating way to do it is in a jet boat. The Thames jet tour takes you from Westminster Pier to the Thames barrier and back in a high-speed military-grade jet boat. It's a speed demon's dream come true. Ask any crew member for more information about this tour and other Thames jet excursions. Every morning, skyscrapers at Canary Wharf, a parade of office workers arrive frequently. At lunchtime, mobile phones glued to their ears. You might think Canary Wharf is in business all the time, but you'd be wrong.
Pancakes while they stagger towards the finish line.
Londoners go mad for sport. The whole city is fiercely opinionated about football. Soccer to you Americans. You should hear the roar at a football match at Wembley Stadium. county has a club that boasts English of games, cricket.
Culture vultures flock to the Tate museums. Parents take their children to see the robotic dinosaurs at the Natural History Museum, and lovers go on dates in nightclubs, restaurants, and theatres all over town. As Samuel Johnson and many others have said, when you're tired of London, you're tired of life. Skyscrapers dominate the skyline ahead. The tallest building is a steel tower with a top shaped like a pyramid. This structure, named 1 Canada Square, stands 243 meters or 800 feet high. 1 Canada Square is the centerpiece of a new riverfront development called Canary Wharf. Londoners call it Manhattan on Thames, and Canary Wharf does look like a miniature New York City.
Canary Wharf was built on the Isle of Dogs, which supposedly got its name because King Henry VIII kept his royal pendant here. The Isle of Dogs is really less an island than a peninsula formed by a long, bowing curve of the Thames.
Canary Wharf used to be a cargo warehouse at the heart of Docklands. It was part of the West India Docks, originally built to provide safer wharf space back when thieves preyed on ships nearer the city. The Port of London reached its peak in the 1960s when Docklands employed more than 100,000 men. All of that changed in the 70s. The shipping industry began using giant container ships, which were too big to navigate up the Thames. Shipping moved to other ports, and Docklands was abandoned.
The old wharves rotted away, while the city wondered what to do with all of its valuable goods. Then London emerged as a command centre for the new global economy. The financial service industry demanded less expensive office space in the city. At last, the government saw an opportunity. It founded the London Docklands Development Corporation, an organisation that offered tax incentives to anyone willing to build a Canary Wharf. It was a hard sell at first. Londoners thought Canary Wharf was in the middle of nowhere. Who would want to leave the city of London to come and work here?
But the government clung to its vision. It expanded London's transportation system to make Canary Wharf easily accessible to office workers. Gradually,
Slab of moist, flaky white fish and crisp fried potatoes so hot they burn your fingers. Douse them in vinegar and you've got a feast. Don't forget 2 more English things, pie and mash and jellied English. London is also a great place to eat gourmet hamburgers.
how about something a bit more genteel, like afternoon tea? Picture yourself floating down the Thames Street with good British tea and eating bigger sandwiches, cakes and scones with jam and a generous dollop of cream. That's just one of City Cruise's exciting excursions that include delightful food and drink. Besides the tea cruise, we feature a lunch cruise, and there's live entertainment on the London Showboat Dinner Cruise and the Sundowner Cruise. For more information, ask any crew member.
Getting back to drinking,
I suspected you might.
you can sample the best of food and drink at an incredible array of London gathering clubs. And we have tip-top microbrews serving artisan hand.
Look at this, Marcus.
The varieties
Up,
you
up.
won't find
Stand up.
anywhere else, like mango flavored beer.
That sounds less like a beer than a pudding. In other words, dessert.
In the early days of London, ships often anchored in midstream. Lighter men or freight carriers unloaded the ship's cargo onto Pirates, smugglers sometimes robbed the lightermen's barges. Many of these criminals hatched their schemes at the prospect of Whitby, London's oldest riverside pub. Located on the North Bank, it remains a London landmark. Look for a small three-storey white building with a terrace facing the river beside a weeping willow tree. A hangman's noose dangles over the terrace, a reminder of the prospect of Whitby's criminal past, but it was known as the Devil's Tower. You'll meet a much nicer crowd today.
In a few minutes, we'll see an example of how completely Docklands has changed since the glory days of the Port of London. Butler's Wharf, a cluster of yellow brick buildings on the south bank, used to be called London's Larder. Most of the city's goods was unloaded there in ships that sailed from every corner of the globe to the Port of London. Just past Butler's Wharf, a narrow inlet marks the district known as Jacob's Island. In the 1800s, this was London's worst, a district called Bermondsey. The old warehouses have been converted into luxury apartments, restaurants, art galleries, and designer clothing shops.
Eastern London used to be the home of London's working class and very men. Many of them worked on the docks of the old Port of London, also known as Docklands. Buildings on both sides can still display the names of the old port. A reminder of the years when Docklands was the backbone of London's economy.
I know what happens when a giant boat goes here. It opens up.
Good boy. How'd you know?
Mom told me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on board the City Alpha for your cruise today. A quick safety announcement as we depart the pier here at Tower Pier. We are fully licensed by the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, the Port of London Authority, to carry passengers out here on the Thames. We're equipped with all of the latest and up-to-date life-saving equipment. This includes life jackets, life rings, life rafts, displayed around the vessel by the International Cream and Green Stickers. We're in constant communication with all of the other boats, the emergency services around us. In a highly unlikely event of an emergency today, the best of luck to each and every person on board. I got a few people's attention and they weren't listening. I'm only joking, folks. Just stay seated, stay calm, and follow the instructions given by a uniformed member of crew. As we turn the boat around here on the left, we'll make our way up towards our next stop, Westminster Pier. And you will see on the right hand side Tower Bridge, opened in 1894. She's 127 years old. The middle part lifts up into two. It allows big ships in and out of this stretch of the River Thames. Now at the bridge, free of charge to lift. If anybody on board has a boat big enough, you can lift Tower Bridge free of charge. You just let the captain of the bridge know 24 hours in advance, they will lift the bridge for you. The only day of the year the bridge won't open, that's the day of the London Marathon, as this is part of the route through the city. Now the money shot, folks, if you can get a London red bus pictured in the middle of the bridge, that'll cost you £5 normally on a postcard. If you can get two, then that's a tenner. Look at that. You save yourself a tenner today, folks, right there. Now the stone in which the bridge was made out of, that's meant to resemble the Tower of London over here on the right hand side. Built in 1086 by William the Conqueror. It's been many things over the years. A royal palace, a mint, it's even been a zoo. Now home to the Queen's crown jewels. On selected days, you can visit the Tower of London for as little as £1. They don't advertise it very much. On selected days, you can visit the Tower for as little as £1. To the left, you may not see her in all of her camouflage, but permanently moored here on her anchor chains, the HMS Belfast. She was one of the first vessels to fire her guns in anger on the D-Day landing. She last fought in the Korean War. There's 6 guns or turrets to the rear, 6 guns or turrets to the front, capable of shooting a 100-pound shell up to 13 landmarks. You can see there's a visitor in town today, the Severn. Look to the front of both of the ships, you'll see Union Jacks. Now these are the only 2 Union Jacks you'll see here in London today. Now to be called a Union Jack, the flag, it must be flown on the front of a British warship on a wooden jackstaff. If you look closely, they're on wooden poles there at the front. That's a wooden jackstaff. If you see any others here in London, we call them the Union flag. Behind that, 1,017 foot high, the Shard, or the Shard of Glass. Inside there are hotels, offices, restaurants and apartments. The most expensive apartment of which will set you back £30 million. So start saving our children, you'll have one next week. To the right, you see some of London's new builds, the cheese grater, the walkie-talkie, the gherkin. Don't ask me who come up with these names, I've got no idea. But at the top of the walkie-talkie building there's nobody up there now, I think it's closed, but there is a Sky Garden, a bar and restaurant. Now it'll cost you an arm and a leg for a drink up there, but the viewing platform is free of charge. A little tip for you there, you can go and see the views of London for free. Does anybody know what the bridge in front of us is called? Have a guess, shout it out. Not the Ladies Bridge, that's the Waterloo Bridge, we'll see that one after. It's London Bridge, one of the most famous bridges in the world. The 5th bridge to have stood here, opened by Queen Elizabeth II in 1973. Other bridges have been taken down, they've burned down. You may have heard the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down. The last bridge to stand here, taken down brick by brick, sold to an American man for £2 million. Now standing in Lake Havasu, the Arizona desert. The next bridge, the Cannon Street Railway Station. Years ago, the station completely surrounded by glass. However, this glass, it was taken down to protect it during the Blitz, and it was sent out to a warehouse in Essex. Now, unfortunately, one of the first places to be bombed during the Blitz was that warehouse out in Essex. So much of the glass was damaged, but some still remains today. Look underneath the bridge, folks, on the right-hand side. You see one of London's 5-star luxurious spas. Now, let me tell you, folks, before you look across to the right, some days the views, they're a lot better than others. Some days you're going to wish you never looked, but that's one of London's 5-star spas underneath the bridge there on the right hand side. Now this is the Cannon Street Railway Station. Not really much to say, apart from it stops the trains from falling in the water. As we clear the bridge on the left, you see mine and the captain's favourite place here on the Thames, and that's the pub, or the Anchor at Bankside. There's been a pub here on the Thames since the year 1615. Now me and the captain, we spent a lot of time in the Anchor. We'll be in there in about an hour's time, conducting the very important research. The research for this commentary that I'm currently providing to you. It's very thirsty work, folks. Now this is the Southwark Road Bridge. You see how quiet this bridge is, one of the least used bridges here on the Thames, simply because it's accessed by a one-way street. It's very hard to find via the map. As we clear the bridge on the left, a white brown building with a thatched roof, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. You can watch live entertainment in the Globe from April the 23rd, Shakespeare's birthday, until the end of September. One of the only buildings in London to have a thatched roof, as these became illegal after the Great Fire of London. Now, years ago, when people could not read or write, they were illiterate, the flag flying on top of the globe would help you to understand what is being shown inside. A white flag for a comedy, a black flag for a tragedy, or a red flag like today for a historical play. It's open top, so if it rains, you get wet, the actors do also. There's also no toilets inside. So they say, is it to pee or not to pee? They don't get much better. You can hear the chimes now at St Paul's Cathedral over there on the right hand side. It's 365 foot high. Easy to remember as 1 foot for every day of the year. Now it normally costs you about £5 to £10 to visit the cathedral. However, if you go there on a Sunday, like today, you can join the Sunday services for free. A great thing to see a service at St Paul's Cathedral. A very unique, one of its kind service at St Paul. Take a look at the top of the railway station here at Blackfriars. You'll see solar panels from one side of the river to the other. These solar panels, a £500 million development for the London 2012 Olympic Games. The solar panels on top of this bridge, they power up to 70% of the station's daily use. Now, as these bridges are so close together, we also call them the Tunnel of Love. They say if you kiss the one you love as we pass through the bridges, it will bring you 7 years of happiness. So don't hold back, folks, and give your loved ones a kiss. Hold on, folks, we're not through the bridge yet. Give us a second. When we get through the bridge, tunnel in. And if you're not with the one you love, you can kiss your husband or your wife, and that works exactly the same as well, folks. Any single ladies on board, I'm available up in the front if you're missing out. Any single gents, the captain, he's open to suggestions in here. He's not listening to me. We're about halfway through the trip, folks. Is everybody enjoying the live commentary? So far, you're still with me up on the top there? Awesome. Now to the right, you see a construction site here on the Thames. It's a £5 billion development, the Tideway Tunnel Super Sewer System. As the population's grown, we've needed a new sewer system here on the Thames. It's created thousands of new jobs, many of them underneath the boat. Now the project itself, around about 5 years behind schedule. You look across to the right, you'll understand why. There's absolutely nothing going on. Everybody's got the bank holiday weekend off, apart from me and the captain. To the left, another red brick building you see, that's the Oxo Tower, looked after by the Vestry family, who created the Oxo Gravy Granule Cube. Now a 5-star restaurant at the top, luxury, unaffordable housing in the middle. You can walk all the way down the south bank of the Thames, here on the left, from where we picked you up to where we're going to drop you off. A nice day like today, a nice evening, bars, restaurants, live entertainment. Now to the right, just below the pathway, above the waterline, you notice rows of green metal lions' heads. Now these lions, they hold rings in their mouths, commonly mistaken for tying up boats, but they're actually an early flood warning sign. They say if the water rises to the level of the lions' mouths, the river might overflow its banks. And there's an old saying to help you remember this, see if you can finish it with me. They say if the lions are drinking, then London is sinking. If it's up to the lions' manes, we will go down the drains. And if the lions are well and truly ducked, then London is well and truly flooded. We're now leaving the city of London. We're entering the city of Westminster. Temple Arch on the right hand side here, that's the boundary point. You see the most famous boat out here on the Thames coming up on the right, the black and white St Catherine. It's got the black canopy on the top. That's the former Queen's Royal Barge. Any meetings that needed to be conducted, right up until the early 1960s, had been done on the St Catherine you see here on the right hand side. Now a permanent restaurant at Temple Pier. To the left, looks like a multi-storey car park. It's got a billboard on the front. It's not. It's our National Theatre. There's 3 theatres inside, the most famous of which being the Olivier Theatre. You can watch live entertainment in the Olivier for as little as £5. For those of you that don't know, you can't even buy a beer in London anymore for less than £5. So for live entertainment, very good value for money indeed.
Oh my God.
Ahead of us, the Waterloo Road Bridge, also known as the Ladies' Bridge. It was built by a predominantly female workforce during the Second World War. While the men were away fighting, the ladies, they did what you do best. They went out shopping and bought the most expensive stone, a Portland stone. Now you'll see how clean the face of the bridge is compared to the underneath. Portland stone, it has self-cleaning or self-cleansing properties. So when it rains here in London, which is not very often, the rain, it will wash away the dirt on the side of the bridge. Very clever design indeed. To the right, with the green roof, the Union flag on top, the Savoy Hotel, one of the most famous hotels in the world. Costs you around £500 a night to stay in the Savoy Hotel. You stay there New Year's Eve, cost you £10,000 a room. Now it's worth every penny, folks, because it comes with a full complimentary English breakfast. So it's worth it to me. You can't beat that penny. Now many of the buildings around here completely soundproof due to how noisy the Charing Cross railway station is ahead of us. Not only are we going underneath a train line, we'll also be on top of it. The underground below us, the overground above us. Now the architect who designed this station over there on the right, designed it to look like a train coming out of a platform. Can anybody see that? No, me neither. But a very busy route in and out of the city. What we like to do as we pass underneath the bridge here, we like to make a little bit more noise, and we like to wake the bridge up. My friend the captain, he'll wake the bridge up for us. Give him a wave up there on the bridge, folks, as we pass through. Give him a wave up there. Bank holiday weekend, hopefully they're happy to see us. He definitely is, there we go. Keep on waving, folks, stop some throwing things at us. Keep waving, folks. We'll try again on the other side. Give them a wave up there. Now if they don't wave back, they're just Londoners, very miserable people. Very miserable people. Now a great photo opportunity on the left, one of London's most popular tourist attractions, that's the London Eye, put here in the Millennium Year of 2000. It was only meant to be a temporary structure. However, it was said on the first day of opening and on a busy summer's day, the London Eye can make up to £250,000 a day. Very profitable indeed. It's 450 foot high. The 32 glass pods or capsules, they represent the 32 boroughs here in Greater London. And you can see people having lots of fun out here on the Thames, over on the right hand side. Not as much fun as us, do we, folks? But we just show it in different ways. Lots of fun with it. Now we make our approach slowly in towards our next stop, Westminster Pier here on the right. You will see ahead of us the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben. Big Ben, a nickname for the 13.5-ton bell inside the Queen Elizabeth clock tower. It chimes on the hour and on the hour only. However, you can see having some maintenance works done. So it'll only chime on special occasions until next year. These special occasions include Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, my birthday, the captain's birthday, special occasions here in London. Now Parliament, been here since the 1700s. In 1834 it burned down. Somebody left a candle alight inside. It was rebuilt in 1866. It still stands.